welcome to the Always About People show. I'm Beamer Barnes. For those of you that are tuning in live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, so glad that you are here today. This is the second installment of our change management series hosted by yours truly, reporting live in New York City. And last week, we talked about change management from the standpoint of organizational systems. I know we hear systems and immediately it's like bore fest. No one really wants to hear it, but follow me on this because I really believe that it can be helpful for you in your job, in your career trajectory, and how you lead people, how you operate within your community, whatever the case may be, because these systems are in operation at all times and we just don't always know it, kind of like breathing, right? Know that it's happening, but don't really think about it. So within an organization, we have four systems: your cultural, your strategy, your technical, and your political. We focused last week mostly in the technical and political side of things, because if you are an individual contributor, which is what most of us are, we have a skill or a competency, a technical skill that we live in this system. We have a job that we are contributing to the greater sense of the organization, but we have our whatever that skill or competency may be, whether it's in IT, admin, you get the point. For those of us that are managers, note that I say managers, not leaders. If you are a manager, you are in this political system. Manager being you have people that report up to you and you have decision-making power on whatever might happen to somebody else's future. That is a manager, and they are in the political system. What separates these technical and political systems? Great question. So glad that you asked. Oftentimes, for individual contributors that have a certain skill set, when they are promoted into the political system of a manager, oftentimes what happens if there isn't a level of training, learning, development, something, what ends up happening is that we can run into this tension of, I know how to do the job really well. And because I've been validated in doing the job really well, I'm just going to keep doing it. But now that I have decision-making power over somebody else's future, there tends to be problems. Do you see where I'm going with this? We see it all the time. And so what I want to talk about today is that if we're looking at the organizational system and shifting our mindset, if we are in the technical or that political side of things, what can we do to shift our mindset to just address what is happening and what change might need to occur? So with that said, I have a little bit of a visual aid for us. It's called the change arc. And in this, we're able to see that there is a proposed change. What's changing for me? Why? What will it look like? Maybe it's that you're getting a new manager. Maybe it's that your organization is going through a massive restructure. Maybe it's that there's been a ton of layoffs and now jobs are shifting. Whatever the case may be, it can be something just as small as we got a new printer. And now we're shifting everything over to this printer. So whenever I print things, I have to remember to do this thing. It doesn't have to be massive changes, but what's changing for me, right? And within this, we have a mindset shift that we can participate in. And it really is broken down in three things. I also want to share that this is from Erica Anderson and was posted on an HBR study. This is not yours truly. This belongs to them, and we're really grateful for it because I have found it very helpful. And so within this, if we're looking at change as being difficult, costly, and weird, that's one perspective in how to look at it. So let's break this down. What makes change difficult? Because it's outside of our control, because we don't always understand it, especially as individual contributors. It can be really difficult when we don't understand why the change is happening. It was working great before. Why do we need this new technology? What is going on with digital avatars? Why do we need those within our company? It's weird. I get it. All of the things. It can just be really difficult, costly, especially if you're looking at it from the standpoint of we're now launching into a new HRIS system. What is going on? We have to spend all of this money to do this big reboot. We're taking everything off of paper and online. It can cost a lot of money. And let's be honest, change is just weird. It's like stretching. It just is like when you're doing it, it's like this, just, I hate this. Or maybe you're a yogi. I personally am not. I'm not a fan of it, but it's just weird. And you just don't always like it. And that's okay. But if we can shift our mindset from this is really difficult to this is easy. I know the chart says easy, but if we can really lean into change is doable, it's going to make us better. If I can practice the humility to come into alignment with my organization and with my leadership and say, you know what? I don't know how this is going to work, but if this is what they think is going to do it, I'm going to do my best to see it through and to make it as doable as possible. It might be costly, but it can also be incredibly rewarding. Why? Because change gives you an opportunity to grow past where you currently are. It allows space for innovation. Something that's neat about innovation is that we have the ability to associate and ask questions, network, these different things. What do I mean by associating? Associating is essentially taking what's in one context and bringing it into another context. An example would be if we're looking at the automobile industry and how they have everything on an assembly line. Well, if you're working for a landscaping company, is there an opportunity to bring what they're doing in the assembly line and bring it to your company? You see what I'm saying here? There's a variety of different industries that while they look like they compete against each other, they might actually be able to feed into different structures and change that can happen within your organization. So we can get out of these like tunnel vision, this is how it always has to be, and really allow ourselves the opportunity to be rewarded by the change by lengthening our mindset and practicing new behaviors in it. I'm a huge proponent that change is so weird. It's not comfortable. It's inevitable. It requires such risk, but it's also incredibly normal. In all organizations, I think the biggest issue that most people have with change, if we're going back to some of these systems, is that they don't understand how it plays into the long-term strategy because we are so stuck in this is how I do it. This is my job. And that's such a beautiful thing to love what you do and how you do it. It's beautiful. But an organization is not just one finger, it's a whole body. There's a whole bunch of other things going on that we all have to be aware about. But if those things aren't communicated, if you're working in a remote workforce, you don't see the other parts moving and shaking. You are just familiar with your part. It takes humility, and it's so normal to be frustrated. And what do we know about frustration? If we're frustrated, it's a red flag that says, I care about this. This is what I'm passionate about. So, in order for us to change our mindset, it's practicing new behaviors. So, how can we go from it being difficult, costly, and weird by having a mindset shift to it's easy, it's rewarding, and it's normal? Because then that's whenever change can occur in a healthy way. So I hope this was helpful for all of you today. I know that many people that I've been talking to, from Uber drivers on my way to the airport to sitting in a coffee shop and just overhearing conversations, that change management is something that no one seems to be doing well. It seems to be something that everybody is like, you know what my organization needs to do a better job at? Change. It's chaos all the time. It's all the time. Like, people are always saying it. And if they would just listen to me, things would be so much better. And I'm sure that there's parts of that that are true, but how often it's not just our way, it's our way. It's everybody's way. And considering the greater impact that your role or your job might have on other people. If you are a leader, considering that there might be people on your team that are disengaged, not because they don't love their job, but because they're not being challenged, because they have not engaged in enough change, and they might be waiting for the opportunity to be able to contribute. So in conclusion, for this, if we've talked about our organizational systems and we understand what that is, and we go into how to have a change mindset from it being difficult to easy, costly to rewarding, and weird to, hey, It's absolutely normal. Next week, we're going to talk about how to foster accountability whenever you are engaging in change. So, whether you are an individual contributor or you are living in that political system as a manager, there's accountability in having change occur. So, I look forward to seeing you next Friday at 12 p.m. If you're watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, we appreciate you, or you're listening later on whatever podcast platform you enjoy. We're grateful that you're here. If you need anything, please let us know. You can reach me at beamer.barnes@alwaysaboutpeople.com. Until next time.